bad toxins that stays in your hair, so it's gonna get in your bonnet. And you sweat at night when you sleep.
So
She's recording now, so monitor your comments.
Yeah, and who's gonna monitor?
This is all filtered. Matter of fact, make sure you're recording, Don. Record all.
I'm getting ready to start that in one moment. What I want to know is if anyone is going to monitor YouTube in case people do come in and have conversations.
That's Soul's job.
That is Soul's job.
Man, Willie should be with Gina.
Well, there you go.
Should be on it like
no, you
that.
don't. No, you're not going to do that to me because I know not what to do.
You know exactly what to do.
I don't know what you're talking about. Hi, Pumpkin. I made some macaroni and cheese and you weren't here.
For the best bonnet or do-rag comment in the comment section, you get yourself a
Y'all
bonnet.
see how we come into this live? Y'all see how we just
already with the shenanigans.
Like no one knows that we're actually recording. No, I love this about us. I know people, you know, they come in a little formal and then everyone's really quiet and start when everybody gets here. So sometimes y'all pop in the middle of other conversations. And it's
most of the time.
All good. Y'all, tonight's podcast is going to be a rich one. Let's call it a rich one. How about that? How it's going to be interesting. I want to say this. We're talking about a subject matter that was really popular on social media about 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. And it had its, 15 minutes in the spotlight because that's about the amount of attention we give topics as they cross our path on social media. And I like the way we kind of lag behind all of the commentary and all of the opinions. It gives us a chance to really digest and find a way to talk about this critically and again, always with love. Y'all welcome to the Back to Love Movement podcast. This is our shop talk for the month of July. And this evening, we are talking about the standards or double standards of appearance. 1 second. You know, I always forget. Y'all said start recording, Don. If y'all don't hear that, it ain't happening. Say it again. All right. Okay. So, again, we are talking today about the standards or double standards of appearance. And I put double in parentheses, not air quotes. And I was messing around today and came up with a subtitle. I decided today we're talking about bonnet bias versus the sag and the durag, right? And as always on Shop Talk, we are talking about things that affect us in our intimate and our personal relationships, including our relationship with ourselves, which is really where we started Shop Talk. But today we're talking about something that I said we were going to stay away from a year ago. We started this. No talk about hair, no talk about religion, no talk about appearance and personal expression. We have not done any of that.
And we've done it all.
I've ignored all of that. And it's okay. It's all good.
We done crossed all lines, offended everybody. It don't even matter.
It is what it is, right? So my name is Wisdom the Psalmist. My mother named me Dawn. And I am, they always remind me, the founder of Back to Love. By no means, though, am I the glue that keeps this thing together. If my other comrades, sistren and brethren, if you all will introduce yourselves to the people, please.
Don't all speak
really?
at once.
Nobody wants to
Don't
introduce themselves.
Once.
All right, so I can't tell which way you all are seeing this, but in my top left-hand corner is my brother Soul, composed and soul artist, all-around artist. That's what we'll call it. And then on my right top is my sister, Mo Poetry Phillips. Again, artist. You know what? Artists shape the world. Artist, mother, amazing woman who faces this challenge like nothing I have ever seen before. My cousin, real cousin, like second cousin, Natasha Miller. I just told your whole business, didn't I?
You did
Your
tell
whole
my whole government.
amazing vocalist, get better every time I hear her sing. My people. I think probably one of the strongest voices in this group. She always cussed through, probably not stronger than the next person, Miss Regina. Cool. It's an inside joke and it's all good because it's all love. Miss Regina, I don't know, podcast leader of her own, founder, CEO of Meeting in the Ladies Room, playwright, actress, poet, all that shit, right? So, my peoples, y'all ready to jump into this thing? I'm mute so the people can hear y'all.
Yes,
It's
ready.
us in the room. We are hopefully very soon going to be able to be live on location. We are hoping and praying that we'll find some kind of way to do that safely for the people. Because we like you all. We like when you join us, and we think that your energy, because we're all artists, we would feed on your energy in such a complete different way, and also be able to hear your comments while we are doing this thing. So looking forward to that. Y'all ready, people?
Ready.
All righty.
Where did Soul go? What is he doing? He gets on my nerves.
Is he eating? Just eat on the screen. I was so close to
my
having
God.
This is gonna be shenanigans.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I get
my
into
God.
it with my apples. Y'all can't see this.
Okay, that's your business. Just turn your whole camera off. I love him. All right.
Mo, don't laugh at him.
Let's jump into this topic, ladies and gentlemen. I called it bonnet bias because that seemed to have been the big issue, right? That our sister Monique decided she was going to bring to the table.
Mo, stop playing.
And talk about it. And so Natasha said, "Hey, we should really talk about, how people feel about that, and really from a perspective is, do men get the same type of judgment in terms of their appearance?" And from that came this thing. So the first thing we are going to talk about is, does personal attire reflect your self-pride? So first we'll talk about self-pride, right? And then we'll talk about cultural pride. Two different things. Does it say something, the way you dress, about you personally?
Yes.
Simple answer.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.
So tell me, I'm curious though, right? Because I agree, I don't disagree. Obviously, you are wearing things that you believe look good on you. I guess a deeper question is, do certain things, let's talk about the certain things we think that we associate certain attributes to. Certain attire automatically gets certain attributes, right? No?
Right.
Is
Right.
that not true? Okay.
Right.
To talk about the difference between then your personal self-reflection or your self-pride or your personal self-image and how it affects the culture. Because that's what Monique was saying, right? That's a part of what she was saying, right? That you represent Black people.
Whether you want to or not.
Family. And you represent, because we've heard that, right? That's generational. Why y'all so quiet tonight? Am I confused?
I missed the question.
No.
I feel like a lot.
That's because you was chewing too loud, Soul. You was chewing too loud.
Let's start over. What I said was, does it reflect your self-pride, right? Does your personal attire, and everybody's answer was yes. And so I figured that was the only answer everybody had, because nobody
Hold on,
no one
Don.
expanded upon that. So I said, well, let's compare.
I don't know.
pride and cultural pride.
So hold on. Can I digress for a moment? Because I didn't hear the question like that. What I heard the question to be phrased as, and I'll go back and look at the video, was does your personal appearance reflect who your style or who you think you are?
All of it's style or your pride. So what we're talking about is pride, because that's what she was talking about. Well,
I don't know if it's pride, because when I'm at home and I got on sweats, it's just what I'm.
No, I don't think she's talking about at home. She's talking about in public.
Out in public.
Because like John was saying, whether you want to or not, you're a representation of your people, whether you want to be or not.
I wasn't saying that it was a question, because I disagree.
No. Like,
I do disagree with that.
I'm just restating kind of what you said.
Because what the hell you got on in public represents you.
It does to a certain extent.
Listen, we think it doesn't. Do we think it represents us, or do we concerned that white people think it represents us?
That's it.
That's what it is.
Well, then let's be clear, because we talk about being a non-monolithic people. We talk about being a non-monolithic people, right? That's our thing. That's our combat to all of y'all look the same. That's what that is. The response to them when they say that ain't true. We ain't all the same. So what the hell she got on in public? She representing her. Now, I might question if it's self-pride. They ain't got shit to do with my culture. It don't have nothing to do with it. In my opinion.
That's just that ain't how everybody looks at it though. And I think that's what Monique was saying, like, from a person.
And it's not just white people, it's in general, y'all. It's not just them that think that way, it's us too.
Right. And so
I
think as a person who has been in the spotlight, who is a celebrity, who has to be on all this time, she don't get no oops moments. She don't get a break because she tired and she rushing through the airport. She has to be on all the time. And what I think is kind of unfair is that we can ridicule her when she's having a bad hair day or she ain't got the full beat on. But when she says something about us from her perspective, then she's attacked. Why? Because she gets paid for her art, not to represent you. Mm-hmm. She just does that because she comes from a generation where the difference between this generation and our past generations is you can't say nothing to this younger generation for real. Before, we didn't have a choice. Whether we wanted to hear it or not, we had elders saying, baby girl, that's not how you go outside the house. We had representation physically in our homes and, in businesses, in our neighborhoods. These kids now get their representation from videos, social media, stuff like that. So that's why I was like, well, it's not fair to attack her because she has an opinion and she wants some of us to do better. Just like Regina said, okay, let's break it down. A hair bonnet is to protect your hair, whether you sleeping with it at night. To keep it real, sometimes people do wear them to the gym because you don't want to sweat your hair out or mess up the style. So if you're doing that for any other reason outside of protecting your hair, is it appropriate? Because you just don't feel like doing nothing to your hair and you coming outside? Whether we want to represent each other, that's what we do. It's just like when we used to say, well, that's white people stuff. Oh, white people, that's a white boy style. Whether you want to or not, you do. So that's when she was.
But you don't. I get it. I understand what she. I just. This is where I think the younger generation. Let me say this. There should be lines, and the reason that they buck those lines is because what they just heard you say is that I have to represent who I has to represent everybody else. That's where the line is being drawn for them. That's not necessarily true. They believe in this idea of self-expression. Sometimes we should listen. It's not a horrible thing for us to listen to. But where they're driving the line is that there's no movement from that line. It is a different generation. Their whole image is completely different. Now, I don't think the Bonnets is shooting in public. I feel like, though, if that's what that child want to wear, she should. Let me tell you why. Because everybody in there going to have something to say about it. And we have a right to do that. That's the problem, is you ain't got to like it or dislike it. But you can't get mad because people like, look at this child in here. We just did it the other day down at the park. This woman had house shoes on.
But that's on both sides, though. You know what I'm saying?
Shoes, though. No. Not the big fluffy
things. If it's a thin line and they can't, if we can't get mad from what they saying, they can't get mad from what the other people are saying then. If you should have just, they blew it to me, they blew it up way bigger than it had to be. It was one thing if she was coming like, y'all trifling, y'all looking and this, that, and the third. She just don't get it because she from a different generation. So she don't get it. She like, I would never come out of the house with a bonnet on. I don't get it. It doesn't reflect self-pride to me. Explain it to me, then maybe I could say, oh, okay. But just to be like, oh, you judging and this, that, and the third, because we live in an anything goes society. There is no boundaries.
Right.
There are no boundaries today. So you can do whatever you want to, but she just saying, a lot of us that do whatever we want to do don't hear what is said. It's not really affecting them. When I go into my place of employment, I'll be wanting to do all kinds of crazy stuff with my hair and do me, but I can't though. You know what I mean? It's certain environments where you can be you and you can do you, and that's fine. But there's certain environments that we just can't because of society and how we're looked upon, and don't nobody want to have to keep on. And I think with that mentality, you don't want to have to keep on defending yourself. Like, that ain't me. You know what I'm saying? They do that, but that ain't me. Or they move that way, but I don't move that way. We seen for... that is that one bad apple spoils the bunny. I'm just not saying that people wear bonnets outside, they just poor representation, but all she was saying is like, I don't get it. I would never do it. I came from women, and then when she came back for a rebuttal, was like, well, I wasn't coming from a place of judgment. If you were listening to what I was saying, and I did listen to what she was saying, and on the flip side of that, getting to the male part, her friend Ricky Smiley went live and said he was in the airport one time. Two young ladies, beautiful Black women is how he described them, with bonnets on, ran up to him and was like, can I get a picture with you? He was like, yeah. He took the picture. Then he pulled them aside and said, this is what he said to them. Why you get that shit on your head? Like, you guys are beautiful. That's what he said. Why you got that shit on your head? You guys are beautiful young ladies. You don't know who you're going to see in the airport, what kind of opportunity could be presented towards you, and you got a bonnet on your head. Don't come out the house like that. And you know what? They didn't get an attitude with that man. They ain't say he was being judgmental. They apologized and stated they were embarrassed and that they were going to do better. Now,
Natasha, you said something strong right there. Because it's that opportunity. I work for a Fortune 100 company, interviewing every single day. Do you know I had somebody show up to me on an interview with a durag on? You're interviewing with a multi-billion-dollar company and you show up with a durag on?
He ain't want to mess up his way.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because the two images are throwing me off. Right? That is one thing to say about somebody who probably wouldn't be walking through the airport like that. I think the audience, also the women that she's talking about, ain't looking for them type of jobs. They ain't worried about no opportunities in the airport. They ain't thinking about that. It's just not, and they just literally are not thinking, and it's not, I don't know if it's right or wrong for them to think about it one way or the other. I just think it looks bad. Like, I think Nick had a right to say that. I'm just like, Ma, like, your hair cannot, to me, is almost superficial, to be honest with you, because your hair can't be that fucking important to you. And if it is, it's because you're paying $500 for it. If it is because you're paying a lot of money for it, that's beyond your means. You got a whole nother thing going on. I just don't think that's the audience that gives a shit about what Monique said.
But they do. Okay, so Monique was.
I don't think they care. Y'all think these kids? I see that more often. Like they don't care. What y'all think?
That's the point. They don't care, and she's wondering why they don't care.
Your man, the women react to what men say to them, especially if they say in a loving way.
Let's pose this question then. Do we dress for ourselves, or do we dress to be seen in a certain way? Like, do we dress for us because this makes us feel good, or do we dress for them? Because the standard a lot of times is set by men because they are visual. They're visual. Let's talk about, we talked about homeboy here that won't even let people in his club if they got flip-flops on. You standing in a club and they could be nice flip-flops. They could be adorned with jewels and everything like that. But if you got your feet out, or you look in a certain kind of way, or your lace front ain't right, he don't even let you in the club. He turning down money because he worried about what you looking like. That's deep. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Wasn't it a weight thing as well?
Huh?
Not with this latest, but wasn't it also being said that
no, I know a girl, she's a hairstylist. She's a hairstylist. She came to one of his establishments and she had on some thong flip-flops. He would not let her in. She said, luckily she had another pair of shoes in her car. She went and changed her shoes and he let her in. Weight has nothing to do with it.
No, hold on. Hold on. Can I ask a question? Let me ask a question, because that's an interesting dynamic in and of itself. So I'm paying to get in an establishment. I'm paying to get into an establishment. I'm gonna spend money at your bar, on your food. I'm paying to be in this place. You disapprove of the way I look, even though I'm paying to get in there. So I'm going to go back to my car to get whatever I need to do to be acceptable, to pay to get in here.
Yeah.
That dynamic is more about how you value yourself than it is about your appearance. That's a whole nother dynamic, because I'd have went to my car and took my butt home, but I'm old. I'm a different generation. I'm old.
I've been to clubs where it costs $1,500 just to have a seat at the club. If you're just a seat, $60 to walk in the door, but to sit down, it's going to be $1,500. You're going to stand up until the artist gets there at 3:00 in the morning and perform. No, Cincinnati is not that place. I believe there should be some level of, if this is already established and posted and everybody gets the same treatment, yes, you can have a dress code, but it should not be based on weight. You should not be all up in my hair saying whether or not you approve of my lace front. It shouldn't be anything like that. No, I don't agree with that. And I'm here in support of bonnets. I just want to let that be known, because
and I'm not in support of bonnets, but I want to make that be known.
I am, but I think there's a line. You shouldn't be wearing them to court. You shouldn't be fixing my food or working in a restaurant or on the job with your bonnet on. I don't agree with that. But if I want to go outside, whether it's a wrap, an African wrap, a durag, whatever I want to go outside in, I do believe there has to be some level of self-expression.
But I think you just hit on the point though, Mo. I think the people who are adorning their bonnets outside of those situations that you refer to don't have any monicum or degrees of what's acceptable and what's not. And that is the problem.
Well, I think these girls, listen, they protecting their hair, like I said. I just don't think it's as deep.
I don't know why you need to protect it on a job interview. I'm just saying. I don't understand.
But in their minds, I'm telling you, I didn't know that women spent the kind of money that they spend on their hair. So these aren't women. You don't see women that's got locks or natural hair with the bonnets on. These are women who have paid a lot of money for their weaves, probably more than they can afford. And I don't care about that one way or the other. I just don't think they're thinking about it that deep. I don't. I think they're thinking, because when it's time for them to go, they understand perception, and because when they go out, they doing that so that their hair is fly when they hit wherever they going, wherever they on the plane to go to.
So what you're saying is going out.
They look good before they go out. So they are very clear about it. They don't care. And
they don't value what we value, is what you're saying. Okay, I got you.
No, so
personally, that's what I said. It's a reflection of me. For me, I would not wear them outside. That's my personal thing. But I think people can do what the hell they want. And that's the generation we're living in.
So Monique had an interview with what's the sister that does the Bonnet Chronicles?
Tammy Roman.
Yeah, Tammy Roman. So she was talking about she didn't have a problem. Monique, this is what Monique said. She said she doesn't have a problem with head wraps or, head attire that's decorative and stuff like that. She said it's the bonnets that she wear to bed. Now, I agree with what you're saying, Don. The purpose is because they pay, and $500 is cheap. These girls.
I'm pretty sure it is. I wouldn't really know. I was just throwing something out there that seemed ridiculous.
But I'm just saying, I agree with your point. They've spent a lot of money on this hair, but this is my thing. Because it seems like I'm anti-bonnet, but I'm really on your team. Like I'm indifferent because I know what I wouldn't do. But I think one of two things that becomes the issue. Those of us who are the representative for the culture get addressed, because I do on my job. I've had non-Black people ask me questions as if I'm a spokesperson for the whole culture. What other people do or what they do. And I think that's an issue, that people get confronted with these things. Like, why do you do this?
And why giving white people a whole lot of credit?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I think they ask those kind of questions because I don't think it's a curiosity about something they don't know. They know what the hell, why they got bonnets on. Are they asking why we're having a debate about it in the community, like amongst us? Because
no, it's not, because they don't really care about what we debate about. But when you get confronted and you are the minority, sometimes that's a little uncomfortable, that you always got to be put on display as to why people in your community do certain things. Secondly, the bonnet situation, I think she was saying, if you're going to wear a bonnet, wear a nice one. Don't wear it like Regina was saying earlier. Some of these bonnets look like they need to be washed. And my thing is when you going down to Miami and you ain't on the way to the club, if you trying to protect your hair that bad, you ain't wearing a bonnet on the way to the club to see
right. Exactly.
Such and such. You know what I'm saying? You gonna get them edges together, make sure them edges lay down in that heat. That's what, like we can go back and forth all day.
I got a question. Hold on, because we haven't heard from. I'm curious because the way that we perceive things as women, and that's kind of, the next question. Are we judged differently in appearance, more harshly or not harshly than men are? Okay, right? So what from a man's perspective, right? She said Ricky Smiling pulled the women off to the side, and he was actually really talking about them and not like no man want to look at that, because no woman would take that, right? So I agree he approached them correctly. But when you see it, what do you think? And you can be honest.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't get it. Like, I mean, I get it and I don't get it. Like for me, because I've had those days, those lazy days where I've came out of the house with pajamas on, but the pajamas I wore would look like jogging pants. So I can't say that I don't understand the mentality of like you just want to get like if you having a hard work week, if you a long day or whatever, you just want to be comfortable. You don't really want to get dressed up for you, not for anybody else. It's like you just want to go to the grocery store, get what you need, and come back home, but you don't want to get all dressed up and stuff. I get it. What I when I see people wear house shoes on more so than the bonnets,
Mm-hmm.
even the bonnets. It's like my thought process is,
Maybe
and I know
dirty,
they have
filthy, fuzzy, fluffy house shoes. I don't understand.
you had your time, baby. You had your time, baby. It's my turn. Let the minority speak for a moment. When I see these ladies with sandals on, with these flip flops or whatever, that house shoes. Now I know they got these flip flops and house shoes that look like house shoes.
They still
Those
help.
yeah, just still house shoes to me. But when I see that, I'm like, why are you walking out the house like that for functional reasons? I think it on the functional, not just appearance. It's like you're gonna mess up your house shoes being out here. Like, what if you stub your toe? What if you get in a
Damn.
scuffle with somebody? You on this, it's hot outside, you on the cement concrete, you gotta scuff with your feet off. Nah, you gonna get caught slipping. So I don't I get it from a lazy standpoint and just want to wear it for yourself, but you all I think it's also what Gina said, they're not shown a reason of why a standard is a standard and why it should mean something to them. I think a perfect thing that Ricky Smiley said was opportunity. If he had came at them and was like, ain't no man gonna look at you like
Right.
that or want you coming out of the house like that. What was your mom about that? He said opportunity. When you meet somebody where they at, where it could, if you do this, it will level them up. They'll accept that a little bit more. I do feel like there's a double standard when it comes from a man and from a woman, because I think the way people would handle way Monique said it is a little bit sensitive, and this generation is either too sensitive or just don't care.
Right.
So I think it's about bringing that conversation, bringing it to the table of why this is the case, and then let me hear your case about it, and then we can possibly compromise, or we can just go our separate ways and you do you. Me personally, I'm not going out the house with my bonnet. It stays in the house. If I choose to wear my bonnet because I got locks on, damn it, I'm wearing my bonnet all through the house. But if I'm going, am I gonna go outside with it? I'm either gonna, if I want to protect my hair, because I cut grass. I don't want all that shit in my hair. I don't. But I'm gonna wear some type of wrap to cover it, and soak up the sweat when I'm cutting the grass. I don't want it in my hair, so I get it. But there's ways to do it. If they can make flip flops that look like house shoes, you can find a wrap, something that's like a bonnet that can protect your hair, do whatever, and still look professional, still say you, still do the function of it or whatever. And the whole spectrum of what you was talking about, is it a self-pride thing and a cultural thing? I think it's a little bit dated, a cultural thing, but it still reigns true because of the society we live in. Because I'm just like Natasha. Why do black people just like I can't speak for all black people. There's millions of us. I can't speak for all black people. I can give you a generalization, but I can't tell you why this specific person does this, that, and the third. That's a multitude of experiences that I even lived. Just one. I only know mine. So I feel like it is a pride thing. It is a little bit of a reflection of a self-pride thing. And I just would ask, what is your intention by wearing that? The reason I don't wear so much black is because it reflected how my depression was, how acute it was. So I wear lighter colors. When I wore dark colors, it reflected lack of self-pride, lack of self-love. I'm wearing white. I'm wearing red. I'm wearing salmon. I'm wearing purple. I'm wearing green to reflect that I'm all these types of moves. And then visually reflect, when I look at the mirror, I'm not seeing a pitch black shirt to rehearse what's going on in my head. So the question is just, what is your intention in wearing it? And is that intention something you're willing to stand by when somebody confronts you about it? Because somebody's going to say something about somebody wearing, doing, dressing, anything. And that's that.
Can I chime in real quick? So thank you, Soul, for the male's perspective. We still gonna meet by the monkey bars and fight later. But here's the thing. Here's the thing for me. And this is me. So I need, because I'm old. I need y'all to hear what I said. Hear me from this perspective. When I leave out of the house, I'm not Regina. I'm TJ Morgan and Madison's mama. I'm Terrence's wife. The minute I walk out this house and I don't look like that, then I get questioned. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, I get questioned about it, because then that reflects on my whole house. Because the first thing, and y'all ain't got to answer, but the first thing we say when we see somebody outside in a bonnet is, she lazy. Right, wrong, or indifferent. You may not, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's the perception. The second thing I want to say is, I think so many of us that are older has such an indignation about it, is because I can remember coming up in my grandmama's house and how we didn't have, or she didn't have, a lot of stuff. And so because we came from the place that we don't have to wear rags anymore, from the place that we don't have to look like less than anymore, from the place of, I need you to love yourself so organically and innately that you don't care to shine. I think some of that is coming into direct conflict with, I'm going to be who I want to be and you going to like it. I think
some of it, all of it is coming into conflict.
It absolutely is, because my grandmama put plastic bags on her feet because she had holes in her shoes to walk to work to go clean white folks' houses. How dare you wear plastic bags on your feet as a fashion statement? That's offensive, because that's a place of struggle. That's a place of struggle. So when I see bonnets, I know my grandmama wore a bonnet because she had 8 children and she didn't have time to do her hair. So she put, it wasn't a bonnet, it was a head wrap on, and went and cleaned. But she was always clean. So some things I think come into conflict, especially those of us that are 60 babies. We trying to grapple with letting you express yourself, but not taking us back 300 flipping years and making people view us in a certain fashion. It's an odd, hard dichotomy right now. Because the Yeezy shoes, let me say this, Yeezy's gym shoes, I don't know if you have, Google it. I double dog dare you to Google it. The shoes that slaves used to wear. I double dog dare you. Because when you look at a Yeezy gym shoe and you see the shoes that slaves used to wear, you're going to be like, well, why do we pay however much they cost for these? When we assimilated, when we elevated from that, why would we go back to that? Why? And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying, go ahead.
The people, okay, right, because we're resilient people, right? So we're going to talk about that, right? I don't know that they felt less than when they had less than in terms of loving themselves. I don't think those are conversations, honestly, that were being...
I don't disagree with that, and I didn't mean to make it sound like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying walking to work with holes in your shoes and plastic bags, that's not a fashion statement.
If you were to explain it, I could explain it like that to these children, because are different. And we're gonna have to accept that. There's nothing about them that wants to hold to them. Holding on to that is what holds them back, right? There has to be a conversation. There has to be something that happens in the middle. If we're talking about love, right? We're not talking about the reason that Mo wears them, because Mo is a grown, full grown. This is a different whole group of, I don't see any of my friends walking through the airport with bonnets on.
Me neither.
I see girls who are in their 20s and they're going to Miami to party for them. And that's what I see. That's what she wants. That generation does not necessarily care, but what Saul was saying was come to the table and explain that. Here is why it's offensive to us. But I'm telling you all, you need to talk to some of these young people. For them, that history that you referred to, we're holding on. We do hold on. There are parts of it we should hold on to. And there are parts that we have to start to heal from. And know that we live in a different time. Our minds are completely different. So we know that even if we had to dress like that, it don't mean that we don't love ourselves. In terms of what you're talking about, in terms of poverty, because we have advanced mentally, educationally as people do when they exist. So
so hold on, Don. Let me interrupt real quick. I'm not saying that my grandmother didn't love herself. What I'm saying is she gets offended when she sees something that's a sign of a struggle, and she tried so hard to make sure we didn't have to do it. She worked so that not just her house, every other kid didn't have to see that she did it. She worked hard.
But have to and want to are two different things, and that's where the generations are split. They fully understand what their grandparents have to. If you said that, they would get it. But they're doing it because they want to. This ain't a have to thing. That's what I'm saying, is that the conversation has to find its way in the middle. If it's something that we are that concerned about. And I think most of these kids gonna be all right. I do. I just think these type of things sometimes create disharmony for us as a people. And it's because we holding on to something so tight that we didn't even live. We one step up from our parents is we didn't go on vacation with our parents. That's about the biggest thing, right? We all went to college, right? They were one step up from their parents. That's gonna happen anyway. Because we're living in the time. We existed in that moment. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think I understand what Monique said. I think it was wrong for us to be mad at her for saying it. She got it right. I got it right to say, I don't like the shit. I don't like the shit. I can clearly say that and say, but whatever she's reflecting in public don't have nothing to do with me. It don't. Ain't got nothing to do with you. And we can make it be that, or we cannot. It's that for us because it's something we're reflecting on. We don't have to, really. That's all I'm saying.
Go ahead, so.
Yes, so.
And I want to say it's even more imperative that people change their strategy up and be a lot more delicate and almost politician with it in approaching them. You can't just go, some understand and some won't. But I think I've reached a lot more young people when I meet them at where they are and try to and remember back, where was my mind at that age? How would I want somebody to talk to me as opposed to when I was talked at about stuff that I learned later on would work, but it took me years to take it on, because the generation that has to deal with right now is in a different time frame, not just age different wise, but cultural wise, where technology is speeding up faster, how they consume media is a lot more faster. And specifically to us, our community, there's a lot more negativity pushed upon us. So it goes back to what I said about attire. I personally changed wearing all black all the time because I recognized my attire affected how my mood was. If I'm ingesting negativity all the time, I'm going to one way or another become that negativity. If all you see a black man is a drug dealer or a thug or a killer, or treating women this, that, and the third, or women only can be savage hoes or whatever, this idea, even if their words reflect self-pride, self-love in each other, that image does do something to the psyche because you become what you ingest. So that's why I say, what is your intention wearing this? Is because somebody told you to, or is there a real meaning? I can not agree, but still support Tupac saying this is what niggas means to me because of the intention. I can agree with someone saying wearing the bonnet because I don't feel like doing anything. I work 3 jobs. I have 3 children. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm tired. I ain't got money to do my hair. I don't want to do anything to my hair. This is what you get. So my family is fed. So I get it. When you come to them at the table, it's like, I get it. Can I show you a different way? Let me hear your side, and then bring it up to the table. Just like Eddie Griffin said on Al Sharpton on the word nigga. If I'm your youngster and you're my elder, if you got a problem with me saying the word nigga, sit down at the table and explain your case to me. But don't go to the media, try to play me and say that I'm what's wrong with this generation and not try to build bridges. And now we're looking divisive. Because we're already being divided as it is, so we might as well start talking to one another like we got some, not even sense, some love, like we want to be talked to, like we are actually human, like we was 13, 14, 15, 16, and not how our parents talk to us. And that's not against saying anything against parents because they mean well. It's just, it's a different time and we need a different strategy. Keep the integrity, keep the intention, but switch it up. Tasha.
So, how many people actually saw her video though?
I saw most of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, to be honest.
So my question was, if it's about approach, what exactly was wrong with her approach? Because I watched the whole thing. I've watched several interviews she's done with people, and we know Monique as an artist. We know her as a celebrity. We know she's a I don't bite my tongue type of person, but she also has transitioned to auntie for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So it goes back to, like I said, what it's like is a catch-22. So what is the appropriate approach with these young people today? Because when I looked at the videos and I saw the interviews, she wasn't being offensive at all. She wasn't being judgmental outside of saying, I don't get it. And the question was, where's the pride? It was an open-ended question. All the response needed to be was, I got pride, ... You know, time, I didn't have time because, you know, these edges, you got to do all this stuff to lay them down. So I just threw on the bonnet. But she was saying these girls be in the airport sleep in pajamas and bonnets for a while. She was saying,
that's
you know, but that's what she was saying. It's not, I'm flying through the airport with a bonnet on because I'm trying to make my flight. They're in the airport that they say, and not only her, it was other people that was saying it, and mostly in these big metropolitan airports like in Atlanta or Miami or California, LA or whatever. You see this. And a lot of times, like Ricky was saying, opportunity. A lot of times you got record execs, you got modeling agents. If you on just sitting there, I saw a post. There was a young lady at some type of event at one of the HBCUs, and her whole vibe was so dope. One of the photographers was like, "Can I take your picture?" She was a beautiful Black girl, deep chocolate skin. She is now a top model. That's all she was saying. Like, she get people be tired, but like Regina was saying, I think it's generational. I think the problem is generational. I think our generational now, our future is feeling like, okay, y'all have tried, y'all have passed down, it ain't working. We tired. We ain't gonna take it. They ain't gonna dictate to us. We're not gonna bow down. Beautiful. Because people died and fought for you to have that freedom to say and be that way. Okay. But every elder ain't trying to put you down though.
But he's playing his part.
Huh?
Our parents did the same thing. I don't think we're treating them any different. I think what everybody said is absolutely true. It's what we're supposed to do. And when they get our age, that's what they're gonna do. Do the same damn thing to them. They don't believe it now, and that's fine. I just think sometimes when we debate about things, right, that's the part that's cultural for me. Her thing was she doing like the girl that was so dope on it. That's her vibe. That's her thing. that does truly reflect her. If that girl is in the damn with pajamas on, what's reflecting is, I don't give a shit. She ain't gonna get the opportunities. All that's true, and we're supposed to tell them that. As my 60-year-old aunts are still telling me things. It hasn't stopped. I think we irritated because they do it anyway. I think it's not, the roles are happening exactly.
But then don't say it's the approach. But then the young people don't say it's the approach then. If you're gonna do what you want to do anyway, and it's falling on deaf ears, don't say it's the approach, because like I said, everybody's not coming for your neck. There are certain arenas you'll never reach. There are certain backlash you'll never have to face. And it's because of people like Monique who took it first.
Yeah.
Took it first. When she got to be on 24/7, 365, and all she's saying is, baby, put a head wrap on instead of a damn bonnet, and y'all want to cancel her?
Okay.
Get out of here with that.
It's because of who she was, though. Because Monique may have dressed the part, but her attitude has not been reflective of somebody who's trying to really be in the game and move up in the game. She's made a lot of bad decisions attitude-wise and lashing out at people that we just don't respect. The whole Netflix thing, it's not that what she was saying was wrong even, but when she started attacking certain ones, even other African Americans, it was like, did you have to go that far? She's always gone way too far with everything. Okay. Now you're trying to tell me how to act when your mouth is flat as.
Okay.
Really?
Not to justify any of that, but understand Monique was one of the minority women in comedy who was in a male-dominant thing. So you got like these men that's coming at you crazy. I think that was something like a defense mechanism, because I do follow her on social media, and who she was, she's not trying to always be. That whole thing with Netflix, she fighting not only for herself, but future for the Tiffany Haddishes. That's why Tiffany Haddish, it's a trailblaze. We are because of what they were, okay? Good, bad, or indifferent. But at the same, but you're right. It's because of who she was. Because if it was me saying it, wouldn't nobody give a shit
at all.
What I said about Bonnet.
And we said it. Well, go ahead.
But check this. Remember,
because there's so many other things that come into play in terms of the content of the conversation. So go ahead and make your last point about Monique.
Think about Bill Cosby before we knew he was on that other stuff. Bill Cosby was America's favorite dad. But Bill Cosby was coming at these young people's neck that one way and didn't care about your feelings that one way. And they tried it with him, but he still stood on how he felt. You know what I'm saying? They canceled him because of what he said, because they were still accepting his donations and listening, regardless if they agreed with what he was saying. But it wasn't pitter-pat and let me embrace you, young man. He like, y'all lazy. Y'all need to get it together. What you're doing ain't right. Even when it came to other comedians about, like, Eddie Murphy has even said, like, he was one of his idols and he pulled him aside, like, and he excited, like, oh, I'm about to meet my idol and this, that, and the other. And he told him down, like, what you're doing is disrespectful and poor for the culture. You know what I'm saying?
But Richard Pryor followed up and told him to tell Bill, shut the fuck up and have a Coke in the smile. That's what Richard Pryor told him to tell Bill.
He did in the thing, but at the same time, he didn't lose that respect from the culture like Monique did in the instant.
So wait a minute. That really takes us really to are women judged differently than men are in terms of appearance? No, so we got to get through. It's like through into the next question. What? Boy.
I'll just say real quick, and that's why I prefaced everything I said was think smarter, not just the stonewall way of doing it. Some people, like even me, some people I know, if I keep pressing on them, they're gonna go further away. So I gotta put a pad to their feelings and sneak things here and there, and they get them to understand. Other people are like, listen, you fucking up, and this is what you need to do. But not everybody is like that. And that's why I say it's say say what you need to say and say what you can save. The people that aren't listening to what Monique is saying, they're too sensitive. Our generation is a lot more sensitive than the past generation. I also preface that. So it's not always gonna be, oh, if I talk to them this way, I'm gonna save everyone. No, some people are gonna need that. Come on, let's get it together. That's all.
Agreed. Agreed. You know what's funny is we had the whole conversation and we haven't progressed through it at all. But the way that we talked about this was beautiful. I love our vibe. I just had to say that really quick because I think we all have our different opinions and different parts of it, and we're always able to still find a middle. So, all right, y'all. Are women judged more harshly? Let's get on into the second part.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Because
By
I had to
men or
think about
women?
that question.
More by men or women?
Both.
Both ways, right?
Both. Because I had to think
Mm.
about, you know what? I don't want my woman coming out the house with no damn house shoes or no bonnet and shit.
I
Unless you have
say
a real.
for women.
And you have a right to say that. And you have the right
To
to
her.
say that about your
You have
woman.
a right to say
So
that to her. Agree.
I think more so from
You
women.
got a right to tell you to kiss her ass too. That's the other party. It's a lot of rights. No rights negate anybody else. She can, it go both ways. She can tell you something you don't like. She can let you know you got it right now to like it. That's all.
I think women judge more harshly than men do because I know a lot of brothers, and a lot of times when you go through all that extra stuff, they like you to look nice, don't get me wrong. And some guys are particular about the way that their women look, especially outside of the house, but I think I think we bad because, like, for instance, if you see if it's a group of dudes. And now I'm talking about grown people. I'm not talking about kids because kids are just mean and they tease each other all the time. But I'm talking about grown people. If you see a dude on the beach that's overweight with some boxers on, his shirt is off, you don't see a group of dudes like, you see dude, man, his stomach all down, bro, you gonna have your shirt off, man? Like, when you gonna go to the gym, homie? You don't see that, but you'll see a group of women. If that woman is plus size, I got a two-piece on, like, oh, no, she didn't. Well, okay, then. Well, why are we doing that? You know what I'm saying? Or, so I think we judge harder than men do because they
I think this is the truth. This is so funny to me. Honest to God's truth. I think women judge women harder. I think men have their shit too. I think there are grown men who sometimes we look at and we out, and I ain't been out in a minute. I don't miss it either. That, he got the whole sports suit on. He got the cat. He's 45 or 50. And it's a lot going on in the situation, okay? And we do the same, like, dude, work. You know what I mean? Like, don't act like we don't. I just think men don't care. I just don't think it hurts men's feelings as much as it hurts women's feelings.
Right. But I think it's because they said,
I know grown men who still sag their pants. We're gonna say something about that. Like,
you old.
Well,
I think they don't care. I think I agree with you. I think they don't care, but they do set the standard. And I think that's why I think if they do, because I think if a lot of them was like, I don't care about them legs fronts, I'd rather see your natural hair.
They say they don't, but they do. Yes,
I was like, I'd rather see your natural hair. I don't like all that makeup. If you heard more brothers saying that, because they say it behind closed doors. They'll tell you behind closed doors, you ain't got to wear all that makeup. Like I was getting out, I was getting ready, and my guy friend was here, and I was getting my face. He was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm putting makeup on." He's like, "For what?" And I'm like, "For what?" Because I like it. He was like, "You don't need to be doing all that. We going out, you fine." I think they don't care, but they set the standard because you'll never see a girl outside of these video girls at the main parties or in the videos in just some regular attire with no makeup on. The beautiful thing about social media like Instagram, you can get on there like that, but you got to have a platform. You know what I mean? But I don't think they care. I think we hard as women. And I think that's the thing that we need to work on when it comes to everybody. But I think that's conditioned. I think sometimes we hard because we've had to be.
Yeah.
I want to quickly rebuttal on the private part. From a man's perspective, we're not gonna tell you up front in front of everybody, like, man, why are you wearing all that makeup? Why are you doing all this? Unless we know you really messing up. We're gonna be, y'all already get that. We want y'all to feel good when y'all. That's what you choose to do. That's what you choose to do. But if it's closed doors, it's like, have you thought about just not wearing that makeup or maybe wearing this dress? Just giving consideration behind. So when you go out, you're confident. What we know that it's gonna affect your feelings. If we just tell you why you wearing that in front of everybody. In front of everybody. You really want us to do that? You really want us to be honest? No, we're gonna tell you in closed doors. It's like, this is just my opinion. Why don't you just try this? Why don't you just try this? And so you can set the standard when you walk out. People are like, oh, that's nice. Let me try that. She ain't gonna make it. Let me try that. Instead of somebody, once again, somebody going and telling you something, because y'all is out of us the more sensitive type. So just a little man perspective on that. That's all. You might disagree with me, Tosh.
That's fair.
I'm just saying.
That's fair.
You give me that bottom lip. It's okay. It's okay. But
You're always in trouble, man.
Idea. I think y'all do judge each other harsh. It's almost as like cats know how to kill cats, dogs know how to kill dogs. So yeah, y'all ruthless. Y'all be tough behind the backs or right in front of them, snickering behind the backs. I'll be like, God damn, like, tell them how you really feel up front, on some politician shit. So I do think it's a higher standard. I do agree that man set the standard. If you think about how this country is ran, just look at their old movies of how they treated women. Get a woman in a place. So it's like, I do feel like it's a big explosion on, especially on women, on what they choose to wear and how they want to wear, and being free or these other trends. Once again, the bottle incident, shake it up too long, agitated, it's going to explode. And we got these kind of conversations. But I do feel like we need to be a little bit more sensitive to women and their needs. But with some common sense. Like, there's just certain things that have a certain image in this society, or the society we want it to become, with some sense. Because I feel like a lot of these female movements, it makes me very weird to say anything. Like, if I say something, a microcosm against on what you feel about it, it's me attacking you because I have something between my legs, and that's not right. But it is harder for y'all than it is for us. Yeah, we just don't care. We gonna be ourselves because we know y'all gonna live longer than we don't care so much. We don't care as much. We care, but we don't care as much.
Get judged all the time, and maybe not. And I agree. I think the levels are different. I think women, their judgment is more societal. I really do. I think we watch it every day as newscaster with women who get older. They tend to find a place for them. And then they're gone. You see old white men on newscasting all day, old black men all day. So I agree, that's definitely societal, no doubt. But it's interesting though that you bring it up in terms of is there a line, right? We talk about it. The truth of the matter is bonnets aren't the only thing that we judge when it comes to women. And that's the thing. Men only have a select amount of things that we can really mess with them, but we do it. We see women that, you know, we think are dressed too sexy. We say it all the time. She in a relationship. She shouldn't be dressed that way. Why? If she with a dude, and he don't care, business.
And then also,
we are again forcing a tradition in a place where I just don't think it's working. I'm not saying that we're not right to do it. I just don't think it's working. Because they like, okay, I mean, that's what y'all did.
Right. And I think that's the issue. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to add to that. She might just be dressing sexy because she feels sexy with the person she with.
Or maybe he bought the outfit. Maybe he bought the outfit.
Talk about it.
Kanye. Maybe he bought the outfit. For real. Yeah. Like, and I think the difference, and I guess that somebody used the term frustration. I think that the older generation is, maybe there's a little envy of the freedom that these young people got, because we just didn't have that. Like you had, like, think about not so much our generation, but maybe our parents' generation. When it came to, okay, you being a young lady, you were like told, you dress this way, you got to dress because you got to attract this man. You're not going to attract the man if you look a certain way. You got to have your hair done, you got to dress real nice, you got to sit a certain way, you got to speak a certain way, you got to present yourself a certain way for a man, let alone anything else. It was for a man. Now,
on your way through life.
Now you got a generation that sets their own standard. I don't want to look like a young lady. And I like men.
And the men like, and the boys like. Now I agree though. Here's the part is with the younger generation is all or nothing, right? Because if men set the standard, that's still the case. The men like it. They like the visual. They like the, you know, they just had a meme on the other day. If a girl was dressed, the women were giving her the blues. And of course the men who were there to tease the women were being hounds on purpose because it was one of those kind of posts, you know. I'm like, so there's an audience for it, but we're talking about as a generation when we, you know, wanted husbands. I think they do too. They but just not as whole other thing, and that is the problem. There's part of it. What I think the younger generation has to understand is there are parts of what we're saying that's static and true, no matter what generation you're in. And you may not believe that that's true, but it's going to always be true because of the thing we talked about. There being a patriarch, men, that's going to exist where they are, right? So the part is y'all can't throw away everything. So some of it, y'all also have to be willing to hear. Because my aunt told me the same thing at 15 years old. I was a shapely little girl for 15 at that time. And I thought I could wear whatever I wanted to. And baby girlfriend, I did. And she said, everything you want, you're going to get. Ain't none of it going to be good for you. I ain't listened for like 3 years. When I was ready to change, and I did, men approached me differently. When I cut my hair off and I decided they approached me differently, period. That's going to be true, young ladies, no matter what. You ain't got to agree that it's true. It is. Most men love to look at Cardi B and all of them. Most men wouldn't marry them. So if that's what you're looking for, you also have to be honest with yourself and say that. And that's still static.
Yeah.
Every one of us that in our generation that experienced that web too, because y'all ain't the first, y'all ain't gonna be the last in the whole wide world. That's true. But at some point, what happens is you grow up and you realize Oh shit. They were right. You ain't got to believe that's true. We're gonna say it anyway. Y'all gonna do it anyway. The difference is y'all brash. Y'all like, and we like
canceled. You're canceled. That's what they are.
They help your little silly self, but okay.
No, they like to go okay, okay, and then period. That's what they like to do. Period.
The world,
period.
Y'all not ready to run the world. If that's what we're looking at, and I think there are masses of children who are the complete opposite of that too. We also have to know that there are young people who are taking care of their business, who ain't on all of that. We got them. We got them. We know some of them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think those other ones just shine because they be like, whatever. Our sister's having issues through her internet connection, apparently, but y'all see how we talk right on through that situation. As we must. That's welcome to the internet. When we in person, that won't happen. Unless we drinking and somebody pass out. But anyhow, that's
Listen, because the internet is making me mad tonight. Can I just tell y'all that?
So let me see. I think we are in terms. I just want to make sure that we aren't missing any facet of this. I think we talked about the women are more judgmental on one another than to the men are. The men care about self-expression. You think that other men care about your self-expression so as much as we care about? Because it certainly seems to be more of that, I think. To me on social media, I see a lot of if your girl was this, if she had a job, if she looked like that. I see a whole lot. I don't see a lot of them about dudes. Do dudes have those issues? I think I know the answer, but I'm asking. Do you all judge each other? And you telling us a secret?
It's mostly about the actions. We ain't worried about your appearance. I think a perfect description I can answer your question is a dude was driving. He saw a fat dude in a Cadillac with his chest out, puffing on a cigar, and his license plate said "Dues paid." He salutes him. He did the work. We ain't worried about what you look like. Now, if you dragging too hard, then we're like, dude, you're kind of getting on the heavy side. You're smoking a little bit more than usual. So you've been drinking a little bit. More concerned about what are you doing for yourself? What are you bringing to the table? What is your growth plan? What is you trying to get that apartment? You trying to get that house? You trying to get that car that you've been talking about? What's the range for that? It's never really about.
So men judge by gains or levels of success or materialism, not appearance.
Men judge by action. They're very factual. They're very data driven.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, men judge by action and data. Men don't care about what you think you know. Men don't care about who you think you are. They care about what your results show. So he could be a booger bear looking like Yogi Berra and 3,000 pounds. If that brother driving nice, eating nice, got all the hotties, it says something about his level of game and or success, however you want to attribute it. Men are factually driven. Women are emotionally driven. That's where this ish gets mixed up.
Yeah. That's the worst though. I ain't even gonna front. I hate the emotional stuff. I really do. And I'm a woman. I hate them. I hate when I do it. Like, it's just a lot. You're
mad at yourself, don't you, Natasha?
It's a lot. Real. Like, I'm one of those people. I am very introspective because I'm an introvert, actually, and so I be like, girl, you know what I'm saying? But I can't do like all that. I can't, and we are like I guess that's why I have limited amount of female friends, because it just be sometimes 0 to 10. Like I'll be like, or 0 to 1,000. I'll be like, well, wait a minute, well, I don't understand, And I'm a Cancer, so I can either be moody, too emotional, or apathetic, where I just be like, I ain't got nothing for you. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what to do with that,
I think I'm a little different. I think I have some monicum of emotional IQ. So I get when things trigger your emotions. I get that. I understand that. And I try to address you in that.
It's a difference from understanding the emotion and is the emotion appropriate for the situation.
But I can't call what's appropriate because appropriate is oftentimes based on your history. It's based on what you've experienced. So if your experience is a man told you, well, you was cute and then you experienced rape, the next man that tells you you're cute, you're going to go off on him and feel some kind of way because that's what your history has told you. So I try not to be in that what's appropriate for you and what's not. What I may say is, sis, what's up? You seem to snap right then. What happened?
So that's a trigger.
That could be a trigger. But I don't know your triggers. But I don't know your triggers. Everybody's triggers are something different. So I don't know those. So I try not to say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think people who are in those type of struggles in their lives should have a person who is apathetic, who is sympathetic, empathetic to it, and try to meet them where they are. The person who like, so, and tomorrow, what we're going to do different than today? So it could be different tomorrow. You got to have, here's what happens when people don't have both of those in their lives, they be out on the far end somewhere, whichever end of the spectrum that is. So, I think y'all kind of saying the same thing. Go ahead, Mo. You keep.
Yeah, I agree with you, Don, but there's only certain people that I can receive that from. You have to earn my trust to be able to pour into my life to a point where you can say, okay, I see you doing X, Y, and Z. Not only am I going to point that out, but here is what I believe you need to do so that X, Y, and Z won't happen. I'm not going to receive that from everybody else. Your life jacked up. How you over here telling me what's going on over here and being in my business about everything and critiquing me? So I don't know. And then too, it's probably too from working with younger people for a while and seeing how they flow. I understand them. I understand why they'll be like, we're going to be stereotyped anyway. We're going to be looked at crazy anyway. Whether I had this bonnet on my head, whether, whatever it is. So I'm just going to do me. I'm going to be me and live and be happy about myself and not worry about pleasing anybody.
My issue is the whole I'm gonna just do me and do what I want to do and blah blah blah. I believe there is some level of dodging accountability in all of that, because in this whole generation of I'm gonna do me, I'm gonna be me, they get real reckless and they don't hold themselves accountable for things like mismanagement of your emotions, for being disrespectful, for not being responsible, because you're doing what you want to do because you can express it. And I also attribute that to the whole everybody gets an award for sports. It's all tied in together with me. It just I'm old. Don't listen to me. I'm old. I'm sorry.
Sometimes you can pick and choose where you're gonna be free. It's not like.
But this is the thing. I'm glad you said that, Mo, because I don't think they know how to pick and choose necessarily. I don't think they know. I don't think they're emotionally in tune enough because they have suppressed so much and because a lot has been kept from them. I don't think they always know where that.
I think they're very intentional. I think they're very intentional.
I think say they weren't intentional. I'm saying they're misguided. I'm old though. Don't shoot me. I'm gonna go to the corner now.
Wait. Devil's advocates. If they're misguided, and it is our perception that it was our job to guide them.
I ain't say it was our job because we got some stuff we just now finding out too. So hold on.
We can talk about politically, right? And a lot of this stuff, a lot of the generations, a lot of the more extreme things.
So Don, I ain't trying to put you on Front Street. But your chronicles, the book you wrote, watch this. The book you wrote and you laid out Mercy's life. Mercy made choices based on what she thought she knew. And until she really knew, she didn't make a change because someone before her decided what she should and should not know. Right?
How do we know that these little 20-year-olds don't do that?
You wrote the book, you tell me.
No,
I'm just kidding. Don't be laughing at me, Mo. I'm being devil's advocate right now.
Like, I know that I was somewhat defiant. The difference was that I wasn't defiant necessarily in front of the adults. I did everything.
You weren't disrespectful. You were sneaky.
It was, all of that's true. I wasn't so terribly different from these kids. I was the little girl who wanted to wear makeup. I'm gonna say absolutely not. So I put the shit on at school, and couldn't always remember to take it off with my crazy self. Right? That was me. I was that little. So some of me is kind of like, y'all, keep talking to them. We are.
I'm never gonna stop the conversation, because as much as they frustrate me, they also empower me.
But
I'm never gonna stop.
For them, you have to have a place in their life too, and I think that's fair. I think if we don't have a special place with them in their lives, then there is still a certain way that we have to dress it, and we do.
Agreed.
Social media is our place. We address it. You know what I mean? And so I think we. I think there's anything wrong with the cycle. I just don't think the cycle is broken.
Right. I don't think all the generations are just trying to be judgmental. I don't think all the generations are trying.
Can't stand soul in his finger.
He was pumping for a minute. I didn't know what he was doing. And all
So we can kick you out the group. You better stop playing.
Yeah, we got one last part of this. It's perfect time. We got one last part of this. This last one is gonna be a doozy. So go ahead and finish our last love around this whole bit. I just, I think the bottom line for me is I don't think it's as broken. I think we should say it. I take issue with young women all the time, and mainly I have to still say to myself, like, I would never do it. But I do want them to know, like, when they come to the agency for a job, you can't wear leggings.
That's my thing. Don't come to an interview with me in a bonnet on.
And that's the part that I agree that I think there's an accountability issue, because that's fine, right? We might get on your nerves telling you that's not fine. That could be true, right? But the truth is, it's a natural flow and it's going to happen. The only other half is if you come to the job interview in leggings, you might not get it.
You're not going to get it from me. Sorry.
That's the part you can't decide is the world's fault, is all I'm saying. Like, I think we still have to talk about those things. We learned consequence and accountability, and we learned it early because it was drilled into us very different, and we were being raised in a different time. The reality of these kids, they're just not.
If they think this is bad, they wouldn't have been able to make it in our time. I went to church.
They would not have survived.
I went to church. They wanted me. It was the summertime, and they wanted me to wear stockings with sandals. I'm not. Come on, and I'm 20-some years old.
You were so Kojic. You was Kojic, wasn't you?
Tell something though.
Y'all ain't been through nothing. Just take the bonnet off. We ain't saying put on stockings with sandals.
You mad about them stockings with sandals. And look, and they had the reinforced toe. They wasn't even the seamless. It was the reinforced toe.
No, I'm not saying if they think they going through something about a bonnet.
17, maybe 16 or 17. I couldn't wear nylons before then.
Right,
and then my mama was still trying to make me wear patent leather shoes and bobby socks.
Yeah, your stockings wasn't supposed to have no flesh sawn through your stockings. Get out of here with your oversensitive selves. We love y'all, and y'all can have this freedom because we had to go through that shit. You ain't have to wear no thick ass stockings in the summertime.
You ain't have to put on a girdle at 11. Shut up. Go sit down. Be quiet.
Right.
You ain't even got nothing to be snatched at 11. What you doing?
But look, that's a great point that they also recognize that the things they're allowed to do, we made it palatable.
Listen, you can wear red nail polish and not get told you're going to hell.
You can wear makeup in the church, a full beat and a lace front. Child, please. If you wear stockings in the summertime, don't say nothing to me.
Go ahead.
No bonnet.
That's what I'm talking about, Tasha. You better tell them.
I'm saying.
Listen, the best friend, I was an adult, and the pastor's wife used to try to tell me, everyone in leadership needs to wear stockings. I found thigh highs. Miss me. Thigh highs was my best friend.
Come on, baby. Come on now.
Like, you don't understand what it is to have thick thighs. We're not doing that.
It may save lives.
Girl, listen, straight fire.
It comes with some stuff with that. You know what I'm saying?
These people underneath a sweater with a slip.
Outside the stockings. Okay.
What you say?
You gotta wear the girdle outside of the stockings.
Mo, how about you had a lining in your skirt and they
You
still want you to put on a slip?
You
see what I'm saying? You can put
on the slip. Don't go there with the slip.
I forgot about the other slip from between your legs because it's all them bunched up under there.
But hold on, wait. Listen. I got something for y'all. We said at that time, we will never make our daughters do these things. Well, there you go. There you go. I mean, that's the truth of the matter is, y'all, if they're misguided, we misguided them somewhere. And it could have all been in good intentions. We just ran into a generation that has everything at their hands all the time. And that changes.
Wait a minute, Soul is raising his hand. He wants to tell us about wearing slips.
And stockings in the summertime.
Right. So what you got to say about slips, stockings, and girdles in the summer? What you gonna say? With the reinforced toe. Looking like you 92 on the usher board.
Girl, and you 21 like me long, bruh.
Why you trying to make me look like Mother Louise? I ain't her.
That just comes to my spirit. That did something all the way to my spirit. It took me back. I was like, wait a minute. A bonnet?
But here's the thing, we've given them so much, real talk, we've given them so much liberty, though. They've gone the exact same way, the exact opposite way. Now they're coming into going places and everything but the areola of their nipple is showing because they got so much boobs out. Now they're going places that they don't even watch how they speak because they feel that man. I remember meeting my husband. This is the first thing he said to me. I swear to God, I'll bring him down here and say, he said, listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. I can't stand a drunk heifer. But now he flat out said it. He was like, if you're one of those women that likes to get drunk and be loud, that's not me. I can't stand them. But we have fought so hard for them to express themselves, but we didn't give them the fences for the expression. We didn't tell them what's acceptable, because if any one of us on here thinks that any other person sees that woman in a bonnet and the very next day go to work and don't think they equate you with that bonnet, we're delusional. I'm sorry.
I don't agree with it. I totally agree with that. And that is where I think you all have to, so gets to speak next. I think that's where we have to know.
I lost my earpiece. Go ahead, so. I missed you. I lost my earpiece. Say that again. I lost my earpiece.
No, you've been patient. Go, so.
So wants to tell us about his girdles. Unmute yourself. Tell us about your girdles and stockings. Or your sagging pants. Okay.
First class. First of all, I want to shout out Yasmin. Yeah, also known as Yamin. I like to call her Yaya. She's been in the comments. She's been saying a lot throughout this entire podcast. I want to make sure we give her some love real quick. Don't turn off y'all screens on me now. Y'all ain't right. She said, hi, poetry fam. First of all, Tammy Woman. And then she said, both generations are taking offense to this whole bonnet situation. I think we got to just of this generation's circle, because from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And y'all said y'all heart very, very much with volume to the whole bonnet situation. To really figure it out, we all have to come to an understanding. People are going to do what they want to do. Struggle can be a lot of different things. This generation struggles different from mine and older generation struggles. We need to come together to have a conversation. It's so much more deeper than bonnets. It's younger generations feeling broken, and they are competing with social media fraud. That's why we have all these cosmetic surgeries and growing pains that can't be growing pains anymore. Yes, we're super sensitive. She can't with the sagging. Draw showing is a lot. My mama said that too. She said, "What are you attracting? Is the way you are perceiving yourself, reflecting your inside, and if you don't like it, change it." They don't. I'm blessed to have a mother and a second mother who guided me, and they still do a lot of people my age and younger that don't have that, which leads into what I was going to say is it's everybody's experience is different, and you got to meet them where they are, use emotional intelligence, and then don't stray away from the integrity. Because, like I said, some people can need that strong punch to the gut for you to get it. Some people are too sensitive either because of society, from technology, or because of inherited trauma, or nobody was there to be there for them for the sensitive wounds. Like I'll say personally, for me, it's still a healing process for me to take certain tones from people and not internalize it, or said in such a way where it feels like it's talking to me. Why I gotta take my younger self out of the equation? This is not talking to you. This is talking about not even the you that they're talking to. They're talking about a generation. So, or a set of people. So, yeah. I lost my thought, so I'm gonna move on to the next thought I had. And I will put this as a question that I don't want it to be answered because of time. Do you feel like because y'all emotional beings, women, that adds to the poison of how y'all talk to each other? I'm just gonna put that. And then lastly, I forget the whole other point that I had because this whole 5 minute, 10 minute spiel is just like, we ain't gonna get to that until behind the scenes. But I know Mo had some more to say, and I wanted her to say some and show her durag pride because she had more to say and she get to say it. And then go ahead, say what you need to say. I'm going back in my corner and recruit myself because I haven't recruited from this gump of
pride.
Yeah.
I think it is a difference definitely between men and women. Going back to that question that Don asked, big difference. I don't think men are judged walking around in their do-rags coming from the basketball game or whatever they're doing, or just out and about like a woman would be judged. We're not judged. Judging men all harshly about what they wear. Like, oh, the shoes don't match the outfit and the nail colors is wrong. I mean, we have so much we got to do. The makeup has to be right. Okay, how's my nails looking? How's my feet looking? Is the toenails polished? We are just constantly under this microscope where men are just given a pass and they're given more freedom. And I think that is even some of the reasons why you see a lot of gender neutral or non-conforming people that are like, I'm gonna wear what I want to. I might not even look like a girl. And it has not, some people are just not that their sexuality is going either way, but they're just like, I'm not doing that. If whatever I want to do, that's what I'm gonna do. Whatever I want to wear, that's what I'm gonna wear. And we need to, I understand that you say for interviews, for court, for whatever, be appropriate. But you cannot dictate to people what they do when they go outside. I mean, even in my case, I just spent 5 days in the hospital. Okay. I have this do-rag on right now. I still have the stuff in my hair that they put in there. I have washed my hair 6 times. They use acetone. My mama has been picking in it. That stuff is harsh on your hair when you have a bunch of electrodes put in your head. Also, I couldn't dye my hair because I knew.
Mo, get with me later. I'm going to tell you what to use to get that out your hair, baby.
Thank you. Because I've been trying over and over. We judge people not even knowing what they're going through. Maybe they got a do-rag on because they got diagnosed with cancer and they're not quite ready to shave their head, or their hair might be short and they They're not accepting of that. We are not sensitive people. I don't know. That's what bothers me the most.
Can I say something? Mo, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I'm going to be very transparent. When the young man came to interview with me and he had the bonnet on, the do-rag on, I made light of it. I was like, what's up? Did my interview interrupt your grooming process? Because I wanted to understand. I didn't want to assume, TJ Lito's open. I didn't want to assume that was his regular attire. I wanted him to have the latitude to explain it to me, right? But having said that, when correction comes, you can't run from it, right? When the questions come, you can't run from us, because not all of us are trying to have closed-end conversation. I swear on everything I love, just today, my boss is 34 years old. These were my exact words to her. I'm still trying to figure out how to communicate with you. Legit. Because I want to understand. Do you see what I'm saying? And you can't shun the questions, because all we know how to do in my age group is how to ask the question. I ain't trying to figure out if I'm finna offend you. I ain't trying to figure out if I call you sir or ma'am, it's because that's what you look like, sir or ma'am. I'm sorry if I offended you and you identify otherwise. You don't have that title on you, so I don't know. But you have to talk to us. And I don't know where it's gone. I digress. The whole bonnet thing, why are you laughing at me, Tasha? I'm sorry, because it just makes me so angry. It just makes me so angry. You act like I purposely offended your identifying with a man, even though you bleed every 30 days. I apologize for that. I don't know unless you tell me. Now, having said that, the whole bonnet thing, I believe you should be able to wear what you want to wear. Absolutely. I should believe you should be able to wear what you want to wear, when you want to wear it, how you want to wear it. Absolutely. But I also believe that people have the right to perceive you however they want to. So you can take that and do whatever you want to do with it, because there is a disconnect. There's an absolute disconnect.
You have to be willing to accept the criticism. You got to be willing to accept the attention it draws. You got to be.
Don't act like you a big dog and you a chihuahua and then you get your feelings hurt.
But did you all hear? Did you? I don't think she didn't say that. I think Mo's point was that we don't love each other.
No, I wasn't even talking about Mo. I'm sorry.
No, I get what she's saying, but I don't even think that was what. See, that's because the other.
Just like, is there a reason why? I'm curious. You can say this. For me, I wouldn't do it, but I'm curious as to why you would. Now she can decide that she don't want to have who you think you are. Okay, Ma, I don't think I have nobody. I literally wanted to have this conversation with you for the space.
No, I'm not going to give you that answer. I think I'm somebody, and you going to come to me like I'm somebody. I'm 50 odd years old. Respect me, damn it. No, I'm not even finna give you that pass. I'm sorry. No, because I took some ass lickings for you so that you could have this freedom to express whatever you want to express, whoever you think you are. But you're gonna respect me, and that's what's missing in this. That's the.
Let me just say this: I'm about to blow this little 45. Oh no, that's a bullshit. Because when I was getting in trouble at 14, I was thinking to myself like, "Oh, I'm doing this so my daughter don't have to." No, I wasn't. That wasn't my. Now in retro, it's only in retro that we can sit here and say what we are saying. So I just tell the little sister.
I don't think it was retro for me though, Don. I really don't. It wasn't retro for me. I didn't have I've lived a life that did. I was raised by a type A mama. So I was very intentional and very
I hear what you're saying. I'm saying most of the rest of the world.
Yeah, because I lived in Gwen's world, and Gwen's world was unforgiving, and you better come correct.
Because we all got a whooping. We could talk about the stockings and the sandals and all that.
Gwen still be trying to whoop me. What? Yeah. Don, you know I talk about my mama all the time. She be straight trying to run my own grown house with my own self-husband.
Just to clarify,
this way in retro.
Just to clarify, because the question was addressed to Monique, like, is it a certain type of woman that we're talking about that wears the bonnet, or is it women in general that wears the bonnet? And she was not saying this for people who have had hard days or a hard life or who may be ill, because she understands people go through stuff. She's talking about being a celebrity. Right. She's talking about, but the conversation got to be, she put a post up. It wasn't even a thing to spark a conversation. She was just putting a post up saying, let's do better, because that's what she's used to. When she was out of pocket, she said one of her elders tapped her and said, you can't be running your mouth like that. You got to present yourself more like a lady. I don't care if you are surrounded by men. You have to represent that. The same thing we were talking about her being outlandish and stuff. She got tapped on that too. And she had to swallow her pride and listen. And that's the difference. She swallowed her pride and listen. She didn't come from Patty. She didn't come from Miss Gladys and say, I'm canceling you because I'm Monique. And who are you to tell me? And this, that, and the third. She respectfully and went on about her business. She either took heed or she kept doing what she was doing. She took heed to some of that. And she said it helped her. Sometimes love don't always feel good, but it's necessary. If we think back, like you said, Don, a lot of the stuff that we were going through, we may not have had anybody in mind, but we were going through it for a reason, whether we knew consciously or unconsciously. And we have to understand that everything that we do just doesn't affect us.
But to have children, I'm not disagreeing. Listen, I have the principles. I grew up in the same generation. I agree. Everything. Are they having those types of consequences? Are they having the kind of lives? Because I think that's a good question. Who are we talking to, right? Because there are going to be some girls that are that age that's like, nah, I ain't really wearing a bonnet though in the airport. Right. You know what I mean? They judging each other too. That you can choose, not just us, right? So I don't know. I mean, they'll have I learned the best. I'm just speaking from personal experience, since that's kind of what we do. I learned the best when I had that consequence. Mm-hmm. When what they said happened, it's like, hey, well, this might be what they was talking about. You know what I mean? So I've had those moments, and it's still hope, is all I'm saying. I think what you are struggling with is that they want to be heard about it. I think we're struggling with the fact that they want to be heard about it, and we weren't allowed to really be heard about it. We're struggling. I think that's some envy. I don't think
that's what I was saying earlier. I was like,
their issues are big in the sense of what's going on in the world today, right? But we've lived long enough to know that the world changes, whether you call it progression or degression. Because some of us are looking at this like, what's happening to the world? You know? Some of us are living in that space. Y'all know that that's absolutely true. And this is a part of those conversations. I think it's extreme, but I don't think it's different than any of the other generations. So we also have to keep living and keep saying, because we're going to anyway. Somebody gonna stop y'all from saying it? No. So y'all gonna say it anyway. And I'm telling you, they just don't have the same type of consequences. So in their minds, they're growing up in a world where everything goes. They're growing up with the people who feel like them. They probably figure we're going to go extinct like the dinosaurs someday, and it'll just be them anyway. I mean, no, I'm kind of being funny. They're living in their moments, but who of us didn't? The difference is, and we keep, it's interesting because we keep talking about the internet age and what it did to the kids in terms of, I guess, visibility. But we had our struggles. We were the first generation of children who lived through crack. That's trauma. Please believe they're trying to first. So what I know is some of us came out all right,
Some of us didn't. Yeah.
And I guess what we do have to keep saying though is it's fine, present your way, whichever. I ain't trying to tell you that. What I'm trying to tell you is this is how the world is going to see it. You may think the world is not going to change from the way it is you are today. But you can't even say to them that what matters you at now ain't going to matter to you at 40. It ain't going to matter. It's not, none of it. None of it. And if it does, you will live a hard life. If being liked and changing your body and if that's the life you choose, you do know that there's a path to that. It's a path to everything. Y'all the most psychic second generation in the world. Y'all believe in it's following the thread. It's a thread. You on that thread. I'm going to tell you, you probably on that thread. Can you change it? Yes. But do know you on that thread. That's all. And I think y'all living outside of consequence. Because I think the younger generation think their consequence is what they living in. Look at this. Okay. So I should take you back. We should time travel and introduce you to Avondale in the middle of the crack era. I think you would enjoy that. I think you would see that we was going through shit too. That's kind of how I feel like some of them gonna grow out of it, some of them not. We probably shouldn't use it. And that's my last question. Do white people do all this? For everything that's going on in the superstar world, I know white people use social media for totally different things, right? Because I see it. Mostly it be stuff about us, sometimes, or not about us. We're the topic of conversation most of the time, not them, in their own threads. But that's I said that whole thing, didn't I? I said that. I followed that thought all the way through. I couldn't let it.
You said the whole thing without filter.
I'm asking, so it could just be a perception. My question is, what I see, and mostly because it's my crowd, is what I see on social media. Most of my friends look like me on social media, and that's okay. I ain't judging that one way or the other. I'm about to say, I got white friends. I ain't proving nothing. I just wonder if they're having the same, we have this divide, and this is where we get back to love, that we can't have any of these conversations without a divide. Whether it's between men and women, whether it's between sisters and sisters. The only group of people that ain't really having those issues are men. Men don't bicker like that, not real men. And when they do, I ain't gonna say real men. I'm gonna say they have an image too that they have to live up to. Because when men do that, they'll say, "Damn, yeah, bitch." They'll say it too to themselves, like, "Dude, you crying a little too." Dudes do that to each other too. They just don't care quite as much. And I think what in the end is, all of this can be true. So many things can be true about the same thing. So many truths. Nobody here lied about any of it. It can't be things that divide us. And I said, y'all say it's not but just like Soul said, if it's what you're consuming constantly. And my issue is with social media in general, because we're just as caught up in it as our kids are. We say we're not, but we are. Because I see people my age having conversations, and everything is a reason for Black people to have an issue with each other. Everything. Nothing's off limits. So my question is, I think we get back to what Mo was saying is, we don't love each other like that. And I ain't saying that white people don't do it because they love each other so much. I'm curious. I don't know if anyone has the answer. Do they? They sit around and talk about what Garth Brooks did, and I ain't not, other than politics.
It depends.
They don't. And we are so, as a culture, let's talk about the culture. And when white kids are having, and I'm saying this because we are back to love, but we talk a lot about what happens in our community and affects us in a way. And these are great conversations. I believe that even white people can get something, people who are not of color. We talk about our culture and protecting it, but that's become a part of our culture.
I think the difference is
our culture. On blast. We're so concerned about what white people might think about us if we out and they think the whole culture. Why not that? Everything. And that was going to be my last point about this whole thing with the bonnets. That I think I'm tired of participating.
Do you so the question is, do you think other races or cultures do what we do to us? Is that the question? Okay, so I think the difference between us and other cultures, we, even though it sounds okay, this we're divisive, but we're inclusive at the same time. So it's like we divide, but we still all one. With them, because I do work, I have in the workforce work predominantly with white people, been around white people a lot. They just like they will separate themselves from a certain class, because I hear them use the term, and I'm not saying it, but I hear redneck all the time. You know, they're just as, but they just don't be like, oh, that's a reflection of me. They believe that's them and this is me, based on classism, you know, based on socioeconomic status. They divide themselves, but they don't, because they feel like that's a matter of their choices, not so much circumstantial or what they were born into. This is a matter of their choices, because you do hold the privilege, and you do have one up on other people. So that's a matter of choices, when our situation is sometimes circumstantial, based on, you know, where you come from, you know, what you inherited, the product of your environment, you know what I'm saying? But we still look at each other as a reflection, and not so much that's them, this is me. I think that's the difference.
I think, Tasha, you said something that's very key. I think privilege affords you the opportunity to do a whole bunch of shit and capitalize on it in a way that those of us who are not privileged don't. And just a case in point, and as an example, the Kardashians put their whole messy life on TV and built an empire. Had the Kardashians been the Joneses, they would have been talked about. It wouldn't have been a kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Coonery.
Status quo or what have you. Do you really think the Joneses could have been on TV sleeping with 12 different other men, and we not call her anything other than we couldn't have called? She wouldn't have been Kim, she would have been Khadijah, and we wouldn't have called Khadijah anything other than a whore. No.
Or just like the Kardashians versus Love and Hip Hop. They're both reality television. It's both about people's lives. Kardashian versus Black Ink. They both
I think the point is, Dawn, to answer your question, Dawn, I think other cultures do have the conversation. I think where we are in this country on the hierarchy of what is esteemed as acceptable is based on not what you go through and how you get through it in the end, but what you look like makes the difference. I just do. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so
I think the biggest difference is, I agree with both Natasha, Wisdom, and Regina said. I think it's the biggest obvious one. We don't have to fight for, as a culture, we don't have to fight for our identity that we don't even know what that fully looks like other cultures had to. Most of them, even if they came as immigrants, even if they were white by today's standards, had to fight to get what they wanted. They didn't, Germans, Italians, Scottish were looked down over as immigrants coming over here. They still fought for their place, whereas opposed to us, we did come over here to fight for any peace. We were used as free labor. And so being released from that, you have to fight the identity of your machine, your less than, your this, that, and the third, with all these other opportunities taken away from you that others had. And it just seems like you have to fight for something that you already have. And so when I look at my generation, I feel like the still sense of, as Natasha said, inclusiveness, but there's divisiveness. There's a lot less willingness to work together because it's like, bottom line, kill or be killed, more of that crab in the barrel. Or I would say for me personally, it was I felt excluded for whatever reason. I'm not your reflection because of this. And so because of that, you build up this mentality of, I'm an anomaly in my own space. I can't trust him even though he's blood. I can't trust him down the street. I can't trust her or whatever. So it's more about protecting me. If you love me, cool. But I also have to want to keep you at a distance. So I feel like it's a little bit more of, I'm gonna protect my own. Y'all can handle it. Not saying that that's how everyone is, because like right here, right now, there's still community building, and even in my own generation, there's still people that want to build something like even our own city. But it's, as a Cincinnati musician, I've definitely felt the air of talking to people clicks, not as a whole mecca of Cincinnati musicians working together or artists to make something happen. It's, oh, we understand each other. We're gonna protect that. We ain't really messing with you. Or what I mean? It's some cliquish stuff going on, whether intentionally or unintentionally. So I feel like now it's more like, we don't care because this is all the life I have to live. And that's that tricky word of individuality from a collectiveness where, well, if I'm not feeling accepted by my own collective, then it's just going to be about me. I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to feel okay about myself, about my decisions, because I'm going to die one day and you're going to talk about me, whether I was looking just like you or not. And to answer the bigger question of, do white people talk about, get it hard? I think that white women would take the exact same thing that we shame black women for wearing and flip it and make it to something that's very sexy. That's very culture. That's very whatever. But really, they just recycle what we did and they make it, oh, this is all our own. This is all, oh, she made that fantastic. Oh, she made that nastiness that will looked on this group of people into something spectacular. So not the same. And it goes down to me.
But I hear both of what you are, Regina, saying. But then my question is that if we understand it to be true, then why do we perpetuate it inside of our own? The argument now is beginning to be this circular thing, right? It's like, we understand that the behaviors that we have are behaviors you all say are completely linked to it, for a great part of it is linked to. Then I'm just not understanding. Then wouldn't that make it different automatically? No, because in artistry, that's always been the case. It's always been cliques, and they didn't fit in sports and school, and I don't know. I think I'm living in a different space and thinking none of this is really that different. It just seems really extreme to us because it's so exposed. Mm-hmm. So we're all living in an exposed world, and we probably, as adults, in terms of guiding and misguiding, we probably should come to the table and be honest with our young people about that. We all living in an exposed world. We spend as much time in some of our minds. I don't think it's just, we have older women who are just as confused. They are, y'all know, and y'all know that because you like, okay, she didn't went too far, because we're at the age where we say, why does that still matter to her? Mm-hmm. Right? We still do it. Mm-hmm. Is it, I just think I don't know. I just don't think it's as broken as we think it is broken. I just think it's exposed.
And I
we
think
got
the young
to figure
people
out
got to realize
what's
too.
real and what's not real again for ourselves too.
And I think the young people have to realize too is that we have people in our generations too that had to go against the grain. I mean, like if we think about in this day and age, before there was a George Michael, before there was what's the little X or whatever, there was a Sylvester who was a performer, and he wore makeup and he was openly gay, and he was a pop icon in his time. You know what I mean? That's before the Boy Georges. You know what I'm saying? The little X's of this time. If it wasn't for Sylvester, there would be no RuPaul Drag Race. You know what I'm saying? There's like you said earlier, Don, every generation had its one. So it's nothing new under the sun, you know, but it's just like, I think we all are just saying, be open to understand, not just hear me, not just listen, but be open and sensitive to understand that everything ain't an attack just because it's not understood. If you have a point as a young 20-some-year-old man to tell me, well, this is not how it is, sit down with me and break it down so I can understand it, because I can only give what I know. I don't know anything else. You all can only give what you know because you don't know anything else. And it's just like somebody said earlier, we were so against, we are not going to have control our children like our parents controlled us. We are not going to dictate to our children like we were dictated to. But like Regina said, the boundaries got lost though. So it's nothing wrong with that freedom. We are happy y'all got that freedom. That's what people fought for. But don't close us out when we say, well, maybe you should consider this. Because again, we know y'all gonna do what you want to do. And ain't nothing we can do about it. But don't just enforce it and tell us you got to accept it, but you won't accept nothing that we got to say. And a lot of us are not coming to attack. We are coming because, let me tell you how I learned. I didn't have to go through everything to know that it wasn't good for me. Right. And so when somebody came to me and said, you might not want to do this because it can beget this, I had a choice to either go through it, which all we can do is plant the seed. It's up to them to cultivate it. But I also had a choice to listen, understand, and use it as a preventative measure. It doesn't always mean that's going to be your narrative or that's what you're going to go through. But if it's a means of escape or a detour without having to go through that or be, exposed to a certain type of thing, accept it. Because we ain't make it this far just on our own knowledge. Somebody was pouring into all of us. Somebody planted the seed in all of us, and we had to decide, are we going to cultivate this seed and see where we go from here? Or are we going to throw this thing away and just be willy-nilly and do whatever we want to do and just suffer the consequences that we don't even know what's coming? Like Don said, there's no consequences. I look at my friends raising kids and they're raising them without consequence. But when you get with TT and God, mommy, it's consequences here. And it's for your good, not for control, not for conformity. It's for your good. That's it.
Well, I want to say that.
And do know there is no grown up. You all can be as mad as y'all want to. That's fine. We done seen that too. There's no grown up who's not going to tell you that. And you all have to then start to try to figure out, always see us, see us, see us. You got to kind of see us too, right? Mm-hmm. We are from a different generation. There are things that we would, I promise you, it's stuff that I don't even remember about being 20. It's true. if you get to see it. And I fear, there is a slight fear because everything is so exposed, right? We're not shocked at what y'all know. Please know we know that shit. You know how we know? Because we've been.
We investigated. We tried hard with some dialogue.
What we are afraid of, and I think it's fair, is that I wonder if you all think about sort of this everything is what it is at 50. I know it's really hard. It was really hard for us too. 50 sounded like, and I know y'all think I'm being funny, but I honestly do think that's what's happening. I do think it's extreme because there are some things we didn't do and that are harmful, and you know it. You know what I mean? Smoking didn't have from blowing the can up. You know, some of this shit is shit. And the whole world should be saying, telling you that. Don't be just mad at us. Everybody is saying it's like, you know you got it. So some of it is like, what is the world? We won't be here. In 50 years, I won't be here. When you turn 50, I'll probably be real close to not here. And then please believe nothing matters. And I'm gonna tell y'all how I know. I watch my elders, and I know y'all think this is funny. But at some point I did have to reflect on watching them do the same thing I did. I was just a kid and I couldn't quite understand it, but I had to be a kid when they were adults. Right? At least 15 or 20 years older than me. So the truth is, I've seen this before. And that's pretty much, you know, it's harsh. It always is survival of the fittest. And I think that you can probably choose to think that the world is probably going to change, but we do live, some of it gets bigger, right? Because there's a whole world outside of you. And I know y'all know that. I know y'all think y'all so very in touch with that. But it really is, and they're operating differently. And you just have to decide what you want to operate on. It's a whole world that's happening that's like, okay, that's cute, but it's foolish. Because y'all talk about wanting this realm up here. But the people that's up here on this realm, at some point they had to be like, okay, I ain't doing that bullshit. That's stupid shit. And get on it. At some point, that's true. So you almost have to decide too, is it's okay living your world, but there's a reality happening and you will see it. Yep. It happened to us all. That's it. Yes, darling.
I want to rebuttal to what Natasha says, and I agree. Once again, I agree. Don't take away that fiery spirit that you got in your hair. Don't let it leave. Even though I say sometimes pull it back to safety a little bit. Don't leave that integrity. Don't leave that, because what we're doing right now is progression. In fact, we having this conversation is progression for those who are looking for that. And because it's so exposed, and I feel I've gotten this very air in media in general, where it's very negative. This is articulated with J.R.R. Tolkien's writings, where somebody analyzed most of his writing as he got older. He looked at the world around him as digressing. So his books reflected digression, like from the Golden Era. And that's fundamentalist thinking, and a fundamentalist thinks about go back to basis and doesn't think about progress. Whereas a creative mind looks at this, you have to fail 1,000 times before you understand how to make it perfect. So all these failures that's exposed to us, the negatives of how you could be this, that, and the third, we had those same negatives in my time, in Don's time, and our grandparents' time, and their grandparents' time, and our ancestors' time, before there was Black people, before there was Caucasian people. It's still evolved and evolved. You just have to have faith that it still exists. You can only know 6 young people that have even a microcosm of listening, but that's enough, because you don't know what they could become into. And even if the ones that don't listen now, look at your own life. What did you not do that a parent told you or somebody told you was looking out for you that you didn't do? And now, like, okay, Now I can tell somebody else through experience, there's a fire that way. This is why, instead of just don't go that way and they go anyway. So I tend to be more on the hopeful side, not the hopeless side, that something I say to my nephew, to my mom, to anybody else, and even to myself, that somebody has said to me is going to work in the long run. And if it turns out that somebody failed all their life, at least they have a story to tell about failure. And that younger person is like, I learned from you, my father, grandfather, whatever. I don't want to be that way. Let's do it this way. And then they got to analogy so they can look up other ways of how to do it. So take it away, Mo. Oh, yeah. And Yasmin is in the chat going, yes, Don, yes.
Now, my last comment would just be, as we're looking in all these things that are external, let's start looking more towards what's going on internally. Let's talk about healing. Let's talk about, like we've talked about in the past in different podcasts, let's talk about getting mental health. Let's talk about getting some life insurance policies. Let's talk about how to invest, how to spend our money, how to leave wealth for the next generation, and how to be responsible in our careers and in our lives so that we can progress that way, because progression really comes from what, if you look at it biblically, you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul does prosper. So what's going on in the inside of you that's going to help you to prosper more is more important.
Oh, Mo, I think you said something really important there, because if we take it back to the very first question, is it a reflection of culture? In that regard, it is. And here's the reason why, right? Is if you don't get in the race, and that's sort of what we're seeing, right? We're seeing a lot of people who can be or appear something else in the social world, right? But just make sure that you are, if you care so much, young people, about what you are going through as a race, then prepare your race. If you're going to be here in this America, and this, we don't know, all we can say is the America we have is the only one we can say we have right now, right? So if it really is a social justice thing to you, then be prepared. Y'all see how they play in the game. And it's so much bigger than what's happening on the screen. Then do it for real. Because that is where you do affect it culturally. Is what part of the game, or is and some of why we hold on to that thing from then is because it's like we have to be better, right? We have to be better. We don't know if what you are doing is better or not. It's our job to kind of question the way you get there. Just know that there's a there. And this is about survival of the fittest. Be fit. It will be on you if you don't leave something for her. And the truth is, I understand how you feel. You think, y'all did all of that and we still right here. Mm-hmm. I know it's people who feel that. Well, y'all did dress the way they tell y'all. Y'all did have each other. And look, we still getting blown up. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It may not seem like it's as far as you think it is, but you got to know that it is.
It is way
too young to not know that. So there's a part of that you should hold on to, because that propels you. That's what makes you feel like, I got to make sure it ain't about what I do today and what I shine today. I know you think it's about today, but it's not. And that's how what you do places us in the reality of the only America we know. It may be different. You could make it different. We can't say that. It's what we know. Mm-hmm. So if grace is given, it's got to be given on both ends. And that's the conversation that we are hoping to have with you all. You all, we do hear you. Please believe. We voice the same things. We just didn't. Our generation was different with us because we voiced it to each other. We did not voice it to our parents. And you know why? Because we got our ass whooped. We actually survived. That was an adjustment. It is. It's evolution. We are evolution. If you believe that's true. Mm-hmm. then you also have to be making sure that you're doing something for these babies. And it ain't getting them whatever the little damn watch that the little child on the little 3-year-old, anybody else. That ain't it. That's not it. And none of you all should be praising that. It does not place us for tomorrow. It doesn't.
That's right.
It doesn't place us in the game for tomorrow. So lean some and we'll give some. We promise. It is 9:18.
One thing quick. I was trying to see what the rebuttal with Soul was, because I didn't quite.
They're not planning the same way. You muted yourself.
Yeah, you muted yourself. She gets so excited, she shuts herself down.
I always want to call you when you're doing something. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like, dang, they don't never call me no other time. But anyways, no, I was trying to catch the rebuttal, because I think this is the purpose why we do these podcasts, to have these conversations. And like Don mentioned the earlier, there is a high level of respect for every individual that's always placed in these podcasts. But it does not mean we don't have opposing viewpoints. If anything that I've said has come off negative, that was never the intention. My viewpoint is just what Don was saying. If you want grace, you have to give it. What you want from somebody, you have to give. You can't just demand it and think because y'all are our future that we're going to sit back and just let you bump your head, because they didn't do that for us. Somebody loved us enough to tell us sometimes, what you doing?
Pull your coattail.
It's a little shaky.
And
like, you have the freedom to choose.
Do it, ladies, and I think you do it. I do. I just think you have to. You got to judge the situation. There's some specific needed and what you want and how you say it. I think just to kind of get back to this whole thing of, was Monique kind of harsh on us or not? Is it a Black woman thing? There's a way you can say it, right? And it, you know, I think I don't know. I think my aunt said it the best. Everything you want from what you're doing now is going to happen for you. Just know, down the line, probably this ain't gonna be good for you. And then I ain't saying I ain't wishing it on you. Oh my God, I hope it happens to you. We're not wishing it. We just telling you.
It's a possible
situation that you're in, but okay.
I think sometimes with social media, you don't see the whole situation. You just jump on the bandwagon of what's popular, what's mostly being said. That's why I asked the question, who actually saw her post? Because I didn't take it offensively, and I'm not even who she was addressing, but if I was somebody, it didn't come off offensive to me. So was it based on really her approach, or is it just based on you just wanting to do what you want to do and you don't want nobody to say nothing to you about it? Because let's just be clear. If that's what it is, then let that be it. Don't attack somebody for having an opinion, because that's her freedom too. Just like Don summed it up perfectly. Give the same grace you want in return. That's how it works. It don't work, you just demanding, and I don't care what you got to say because what y'all did didn't work. No, what we did work, because you here today to be able to do.
You literally get to do that. Honestly, yeah, it's not that bad. Like, I'm just trying to figure out, like, you know, I just wish for, like, I think we could probably afford to switch places. It would be great if it was a switch place, right? Like, for real, y'all don't really get in trouble for much. Like, not the way that we, like, y'all good.
When 2 for 1 kids came out, I saved y'all, because I mean, I think we had 2 for 1 kids, but our parents was like, let me dial it for you.
The way some of our parents would, some of it was terrible.
They be like, let me dial it for you, because you're gonna need this.
I'm disagreeing that that's messed up. But yeah, it's not quite as bad as, it's just, I just think, I said it before, every generation has truly had its thing. Everyone was new and different than the one before. Every single one. We have phones that you could take out the house. I know it don't seem that big, but you could actually take it out. It didn't have to be plugged to a wall. You could take it out. That was huge. It was huge. We lived through, it wasn't dinosaur times when it took thousands of years for stuff to change. It changed frequently. There are many periods throughout the 20 years we were coming of age.
In just 20 years.
I'm just
so
saying,
we acknowledge
like,
the progression
you
because
know,
we wouldn't
and
be
there's
able
some
to do
we are
this
grateful
stuff.
for the exposure, because I doubt very seriously that there was a whole period of time when police officers weren't killing Black men. There's never been a period. We were less exposed to that. And that in a way is not a bad thing. Because of what you are exposed to, you also have to acknowledge that we weren't. So some of the trauma and stuff we don't quite get. You all are the tail end. I'm talking about the babies that came right behind us by the time we were about 10 or 12. You all experienced the same era we did in a very different way. We were already here. And I'm telling you, a lot of that has to do with it. It's a progression thing. It does appear. Are they still shooting firecrackers? I'm sorry, it's shots that I just heard. You know, it's just a progression. I just think you all. I think there's a conversation to be had, but it's definitely not going to be that any one party is going to be heard the most. I just don't think that's how it works. It just doesn't. And the truth is, it never has. I promise if you ask your parents, they would say the same thing. Child, that girl, she wanted to think she was just gonna go out with that little bit of shorts on.
Ain't nothing today.
Probably should just keep living, people. But try in the middle of that to stop attacking each other about everything. It's exhausting. Black people, we love y'all. We love y'all. We about to go because it's 9:30. Y'all know how we do. This was a good one. I told y'all it was going to be a good one. Keep talking to us. Let us know what you think about it. Break it up. Watch it in pieces because we already know. People be like, y'all talk a lot. We know. The time just keeps going. You know what I mean? But it's out here and our thoughts are out here. And that's good stuff to put this in the universe. Thank you so much.
Yes.
For joining us this evening. If I don't say it now, it's not going to happen. Good night. And we love y'all. We'll see y'all in a week. Oh, next week, we are talking about, oh, wait, we haven't completely named it. We got to tell them that. What is it? Hold on. I got to look it up. Yes. Helping.
Basically, we talk about Shachar.
I kind of named it, but it might be something different later. What did I call it?
The double standards of grace.
Yeah. Basically, we'll be talking about, I don't want to say Bill Cosby because it seems like we're focusing on him, but a lot of stuff surrounding all of that. All of that as it pertains to us in the community. We love y'all and we shall see you all in 7 days.
Peace.
All right.
Oh, still live on YouTube.
It has a delay.
Oh my gosh.